as far as weight loss postpartum, there are so many factors that can affect weight loss postpartum. Your personal metabolism, how much you're eating, what you're eating, how much your baby's breastfeeding, and your thyroid function can figure a lot into it. So my experience is that it's so individualized, but to trust that if your body is healthy and your thyroid function is normal, you will ultimately lose that weight. And if you're fully breastfeeding and you're eating a healthful diet and not overeating, then ultimately you will gain the weight, whether that lose the weight, whether that happens at 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, that's partly a function of your sleep, you know, how well you're sleeping, how much you're breastfeeding, and how much you're eating. Pregnant people do not actually, the whole eating for two is a complete myth. So by the end of your pregnancy, unless you're carrying twins or more, but with a single baby in there, by the end of pregnancy, you only need about 300 more calories a day than when you weren't pregnant. That's the equivalent of a glass of skim milk and a half a sandwich on a conventional diet. But when you're breastfeeding, your calorie needs actually go up 500 calories over non-pregnant. So it's a substantial, or over pregnancy. So it's a substantial increase. You're doing heavy construction when you're feeding a baby through your breast. So for most people, and this is why we say, if you are breastfeeding or pregnant, eat snacks. If you need to eat at night, do what your body needs to do. And again, trust in the resilience of your body. If you've had a C-section, and if you had a C-section in the United States, by definition, you got antibiotics, and that affected your gut, that's also something that you want to possibly address. Again, you're doing that with your diet, but that is a time when a probiotic might be appropriate, getting lacto-fermented foods in your diet and giving it a little more time. You know, I think that, for me, when I was breastfeeding, the amount of food I could eat was astonishing. And I'm a small person. And I mean, it was an astonishing amount of food that people would watch me pack away. And, your metabolism goes up so much, but at the same time, it's not an excuse to like eat the donuts or the cake. It's like when your metabolism goes up, match it with healthy carbs, match it with good quality fats and proteins. And over time, unless you were struggling with your weight before, your weight should come down. Now, if you were struggling with your weight before, that's a different issue. Or if you have a new struggle with your weight, you're tired, you're unable to lose the weight, or you've gained weight, that is an absolute time to get your thyroid checked. And if you had your thyroid checked within the first 6 or 8 weeks and somebody told you it was normal, get your thyroid checked again at 4 months, 5 months, 8 months, whatever it is, because that can really be a reason for not losing weight. And then don't just take the thyroid labs that your doctor says or your midwife says. If they say to you, oh, that's normal, your thyroid's normal, don't just take that as gospel. Actually go to my website and look at thyroid labs and compare, because there's normal, meaning everybody has it, and there's optimal, which is very different. So you might be normal, but you might not be optimal for your body and metabolism. And that can be an obstacle to losing the postpartum weight. And it's also important to remember your body's different than before you had a baby. You have new stressors, you have new sleep challenges, you might not be exercising as much. I mean, so many postpartum mamas or that first year just give up exercise. So don't, you have a right to keep doing what you were doing before, or, put your baby in the backpack or front pack, get a stroller and get out there. Walking is great. You can do weights. You can put your baby next to you and do online yoga like Glow. So it's easy for us to fall into the trap of, I don't have time, I'm too tired. But often it's those things that we do for ourselves. Not often, it's always those things that we do and I fall into it too. And again, we feel better about ourselves when we do those things. But that movement, unless you're an exercise person, that movement is also the hardest, it's the hardest inertia, right? Physical inertia. In physics, inertia is when something isn't moving, it's harder to get it moving. When it's already moving, it's harder to stop it. So getting over the inertia and getting moving is really super important. And if you're not moving, you're not moving. If you're not getting exercise, your bowels aren't going to be moving. If you're getting exercise, you're giving your bowels like a whole additional boost that all the supplements and fiber in the world aren't going to be enough. I mean, they can help, but you really have to exercise to get that optimal hormone health, the optimal cortisol, the best sleep. We all remember as a kid, we'd hit the pillow at like, and just conk out after a good day of running around. And that's what our bodies still want to do. Being sedentary is just, I don't know if it's just as harmful as a standard American diet, but it's not good for us.